If the president's buddy versus his budget bill, Elon Musk is ripping the House spending plan in a new post on social media. The world's richest man, who was officially working for the Trump administration until a few days ago, says that the outrageous and pork-filled bill is a disgusting abomination.
You knew this was coming, right? You knew the fallout between these two bros.
The love is lost?
I think so. Those words come as President Trump. He's working the phones. He's meeting with Republican senators. He's trying to get this spending bill passed by his self-imposed July 4th deadline. Senate Republicans are planning to meet tomorrow to discuss the bill. Several of them are skeptical. Senior political correspondent Rachel Scott joins us now with more. So, Rachel, Elon Musk, he went from working for Trump a couple of days ago, such a warm goodbye. Now he's working hard, hurling invective against this legislative agenda. What's going on?
Well, Terry, I will tell you, I think people that are not laughing are probably Senate Republicans right now because they're trying to figure out what exactly to do with this. And especially administration officials over at the White House, they could not be happy about Elon Musk and his comments now really stepping up, criticizing this bill. Yes, just a few days ago, he said in a media interview that the bill could be big and beautiful, but perhaps not both. And now they're having to respond to someone who was serving in their own administration, working closely with the president, was one of the most powerful advisors. You see him there standing next to the president, next to the Resolute desk, and now he's weighing in. So we just heard from House Speaker Mike Johnson just moments ago. He said, with all due respect, my friend Elon is terribly wrong about the one big beautiful bill. But listen, Elon Musk does have the ear also of some Republicans since he has been now in this circle here in Washington, D.C. And a lot of Republicans, quite frankly, don't even need their criticisms from Elon Musk because they have their own concerns about this bill, including the level of spending, guys.
Well, Republicans plan to meet tomorrow to discuss the bill. So what are we hearing from some of the holdouts?
Yeah, I just got back from Capitol Hill. I was in the halls talking to several Republican senators. And I think the challenge here for so many is going to be not only just getting on board with the level of spending. They're looking at that CBO estimate, the Congressional Budget Office, which is an independent, nonpartisan organization, estimating it would add trillions of dollars to the deficit over the next 10 years. That goes against what Republicans are arguing. And that's Elon Musk. That's his whole argument, that it would undercut and undermine the push of what they were campaigning for back in November. Take a listen to what Senator Rand Paul had to say about what the president also who has attacked him, but listen to what he has to say about the bill.
I don't make it personal at all. I like the president, supported the president. In fact, I'm for the tax cuts. I am for a lot of the bill, but I can't in good conscience give up every principle that I stand for and every principle that I was elected upon, and that's that you can't accumulate more debt.
Yeah, so you hear there from Senator Rand Paul, even despite the president coming out very forcefully, as I should say, against Senator Rand Paul, really trying to pressure these Republican holdouts to get on the same page, he's saying flat out, right now, he is a no on this bill, guys.
And Rachel, we just heard, informed by our control room, that Speaker Mike Johnson has come out now and responded to Elon Musk. This is really the drama. The Democrats seem in irrelevancy right now. What is Speaker, actually, let's roll this, right? So here's what Speaker Mike Johnson had to say.
Elon is missing it, okay? And it's not personal. I know that the EV mandate, very important to him, that is going away because the government should not be subsidizing these things. It's part of the Green New Deal, and I know that has an effect on his business, and I lament that. We talked about the ramp down period on that and how that should be duly considered by Congress, but for him to come out and pan the whole bill is to me just very disappointing, very surprising in light of the conversation I had with him yesterday.
Yeah, Rachel, Mike Johnson's a mild-mannered fella. He sounded a little tart there. Sounded like he's a little upset.
Yeah, and especially for Speaker Johnson, because whatever version of the bill that passes the Senate is going to have to go back to the House for final approval. The Senate is almost certainly going to change something in this bill, maybe numerous things. That's going to have to go back to the House and be passed. And so when you have someone like Elon Musk giving a lot of these holdouts cover, that puts someone like Speaker Mike Johnson and Majority Leader John Thune in a very tough position when they're trying to get their party on the same page. Yes, Republicans may have the majority in both the House and the Senate, but we are talking about very, very small numbers here. There is little to no room for error, guys.
All right, Rachel Scott, as always, thanks very much.
Thanks, Rachel. So put cuts to Medicaid, green energy initiatives, and a raise on the debt ceiling aside, Trump's big, beautiful budget bill also targets artificial intelligence. House Republicans tucked in a little clause that would ban state and local governments from regulating AI over the next decade.
That has been a big issue. And our next guest is Adam Kovacevich. He's the founder and CEO of Chamber of Progress. Is it fair to say a liberal-leaning organization? Adam, thank you for being with us. What do you think?
Well, look, I think we've seen states, particularly Democratic states, kind of go on a AI legislation binge over the last year. They've introduced hundreds of bills. And I think even some of those states, frankly, have experienced a little bit of a hangover. A Colorado governor, George Stephanopoulos, he signed the first state AI law having to do with AI-driven discrimination. But he recently said that he was doing it reluctantly. And now that reluctance has turned into kind of full-blown regret. He said he would actually support a federal moratorium on state AI regulation. I think what's happening is that state legislators were so eager to introduce bills and dealing with AI before they really knew what the problems were. Before people were really using AI, we could see the harms as well as the benefits. And so some of that was pretty premature. And I think that, frankly, some of that, probably was ill-advised, which I think is kind of driving this push for a federal moratorium.
So supporters of the ban argue that it would prevent a confusing patchwork of state AI laws until Congress can actually craft its own federal legislation. Let me start with your thoughts on, is this the way to do it, you think?
I think there are certain topics that absolutely should be regulated at the state level. You think about roads, for example. Each state's roads are a little differently. But AI, it's not really clear to me that that is something that needs to be regulated or is best regulated at the state level. I think we should have federal AI regulation, just as we should have federal consumer privacy regulation. Congress spent probably 2 years working on that. We talk about AI, the internet. These are generally kind of borderless services across states. But that said, I do think there's a difference between actually writing a federal set of guidelines around AI that would preempt states and what this is, which is a federal moratorium on any state regulation without replacing it with anything.
I think it's important to point out that it's no secret that Trump has had campaign contributions from folks in AI. He's got a lot of good buddies in artificial intelligence. Is it possible that he doesn't regulate at all?
Well, and if I could just add one little fillip to that, this is the gigantic money business of the present and certainly of the future. Can you reassure us that this regulation, whatever comes out of the federal government, won't be bought and paid for by the people who are running the businesses?
Well, I think you have two things going on. One of the things you hear a lot of from the Trump administration is we have to beat China in AI. And I agree with that. That's something that is an existential level challenge. And I think one of the things you're seeing is the Trump administration actually displaying a degree of seriousness about that challenge. But the other thing worth saying is that all the companies operating in this AI space, whether it's Google or Anthropic or OpenAI or Meta, pretty much have all said that they want some degree of regulation of AI, that they recognize that this is a really powerful technology, that there are some uses of it that probably ought to be off limits, that we need to preserve a role for humanity in governing AI technology. And so I don't think you see industry in this situation saying it wants the Wild West. That's not true at all. But of course, we should debate what regulation looks like.
It's a fascinating area. Adam Kovacevich, thanks very much. Hope we see you again.
Thank you.